Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you this afternoon to a media engagement. I'd like to thank Fatmata for opening remarks. I am going to deliver an opening statement. This statement will be given to all of you. You will all have a copy of the statement before leaving here, so that you can concentrate on the listening and formulating your questions. So the statement will be circulated to every media outfit present here. You will have the physical copy of the statement that I am reading. I prepared a statement because we should have a framework within which things are contained, because this press engagement is not going to be more than an hour. There are several activities, and so we will make sure that we confine ourselves to that. Fellow Gambians, today I speak to you not just as a politician, but as a man who has lived and nearly died for the ideals of freedom, justice, and inclusive development. My journey has been one of pain, sacrifice, an unyielding commitment to this nation. From my teenage years as a student union leader, through the dark days of dictatorship, where I endured arrest, torture, and an assassination attempt on my life that left me with broken bones, a fractured neck, and 2 agonizing years of recovery in Senegal and in Germany. I still remember the cold floor of the NIA cell, the brutality of those who perceived my voice and work a serious threat as a human rights lawyer defending victims. And some nights I wondered if I would live to see a free Gambia. However, even in that acute suffering, I made a vow never to relent until dictatorship was buried and true democracy restored. From my hospital bed, I crawled to meetings across Europe and Africa, leaning on crutches, rallying the world to isolate the dictatorship and building international consensus to end dictatorship. I returned home in 2011 and again in 2016, despite death threats and the attempted assassination that left me in hospital for 2 years. Campaigning to stand firm with the United Democratic Party and other patriots under an alliance platform, campaigning across this country to end tyranny through the ballot. And in 2016, we triumphed, not with bullets, but with the votes. Today, the Gambia is free. Our governance space is now ranked among the most open in the world. Yet, freedom alone does not feed the hungry. Freedom alone does not educate our children. Freedom alone does not heal the sick. And freedom alone does not create jobs or grow the economy. What lies ahead is the harder task of building a Gambia of shared prosperity where no one is left behind. Since the fall of the dictatorship, this government, in all honesty, regardless of where you stand on the political divide, has delivered the most ambitious infrastructure transformation in our nation's 60-year history. Achievements that were once deemed impossible. Hundreds of kilometers of new roads, including critical highways and rural access roads, now connect farmers to markets, students to schools, and businesses to customers. The iconic Samba Juma Bridge at Basse Kerewan Badala crossings in the Upper River region and other key infrastructure projects have reduced travel time boosted trade, and opened up communities once cut off from development. Thousands of new classrooms have been built across the country, ensuring that our children no longer land on the trees or in crumbling structures. This is not just about buildings. It is about investing in the minds that will lead the Gambia's future. New clinics and refurbished hospitals mean that Gambians no longer have to travel miles for basic care. Maternal mortality is declining and more lives are being saved because healthcare is finally reaching the people. For the first time since independence, thousands of rural Gambians have electricity in their homes, a fundamental game changer. The expansion of urban and rural electrification, including investments in green technology, such as the one in Jambur, and the 150 megawatt that is being built at Soma, is powering businesses, schools, and homes, breaking the cycle of darkness that helped progress for generations. What makes these achievements, what makes them even more remarkable, is that many were financed through domestic resource mobilization, a proof that when governance is transparent and accountable, the Gambia can fund its own development. Infrastructure is not just about concrete and steel, it's about liberating human capital. A farmer in Sotomasire should be able to get his produce to the market in hours, not days, earning more profitability for his family. A student in Kantora should no longer walk miles to school. She now learns in a proper classroom with electricity, giving her a fair chance to compete in the modern world. A mother in Jara should be able to give birth in a clinic with proper equipment. A small trader in Berending should be able to keep her stall open longer thanks to reliable electricity, increasing her income and lifting her family out of poverty. This is real economic transformation, not just GDP numbers, but tangible change in the lives of ordinary Gambians. Yet, we are not blind to the struggles our people face, such as rising prices, bureaucratic inefficiency, corruption, and slow reforms. These are not new. They are the legacy problems from decades of misrule. Reforms after dictatorship do take time. They cannot be rushed, but neither can they be ignored. The government has shown some commitment to tackling these issues, and I pledge to continue advocating for stronger institutions, transparent procurement processes, and efficient governance. We will continue to push for deeper reforms, but we must also be patient because nation building is not a marathon. Nation building is a marathon and not a sprint. Nation building is a marathon and not a sprint. I stand firmly behind His Excellency President Adam Barrow, not out of blind loyalty, but because his vision aligns with our shared goals for the Gambia, particularly infrastructure and intrusive rural development. My support is for the nation first, last, and always. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished colleagues and fellow citizens, today we gather not merely to address the issues of the day, but to reaffirm our commitment to the ideals that bind us together as a nation. This press conference is not just another event, it is an opportunity to rise above the noise and distractions and to focus on what truly matters: the unity, progress, and prosperity of our beloved country. National unity is not a luxury. It is an imperative. It is the foundation upon which we build our dreams, the glue that holds our diverse society together, and the beacon that guides us through the challenges we face. In these times when the polity is at risk of overheating, we must be the voices. We must be the voices of reason, the champions of dialogue, and the architects of solutions. We must resist the temptation to engage in toxic politics of insult and acrimony, and instead elevate the discourse to one of ideas, policies, and vision. excessive partisanship, and relentless division serve no one but those who thrive on division. They weaken the fabric of our society, distract us from the real issues, and undermine the trust that is essential for effective governance. Let us be clear, the strength of our campaigns, our leadership, and our vision lies not in tearing others down, but in building a future that uplifts all. Let us focus on the sublime, on the goals that unite us, and on the aspirations that inspire us. This is the realm where negativity cannot compete, and where the politics of division will always fall short. It is impractical, indeed impossible, for any political leader to work effectively within groups that persist in malicious verbal attacks, invectives, and contempt. Such behavior creates an environment of hostility and disrespect that drives away potential allies and undermines the very collaboration needed for progress. Numbers matter in politics, and only amateur politicians would dismiss any political grouping as small or insignificant. Every voice, every vote, every contribution has the potential to shape the outcome of our collective efforts and indeed for victory. Every voice, every vote counts. Even those labeled small, that small can make a significant difference in an election that is heavily contested. It is important not to drive away potential allies through toxic politics, because you might end up throwing them into the hands of those you may not like. To treat any group with disdain is to underestimate the power of unity and momentum that can be built when these groups find refuge in the welcoming hands of your adversaries. It is a mistake that no seasoned leader should make. Instead, let us foster an environment of respect, dialogue, and inclusivity, or inclusion. An environment where even the smallest voices feel heard, valued, and empowered to contribute to the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise above the distractions. Let us reject the politics of division and embrace the politics of unity. Let us focus on ideas and policies that will drive our nation forward. And let us work tirelessly to ensure that our vision for progress is realized. Together we can build a future that is not only brighter but also stronger, a future that reflects the best of who we are as a people. I'll invite your questions from now onwards, but only those questions that advance our national discourse. I will not, and I repeat, I will not entertain personalized questions about me or my family, nor will I engage in toxic politics targeting other parties or their leaders. Our focus must remain on policy, progress, and patriotism. Thank you all. Napatio, GMC, Walening Barola Patio NPP Kafuta. Bari mantara masakunda. Atol biala no konto mantara masakunda. Napatio tatanga alanso le kembeoleto. Jada kunda bunda tonya falindro ketale. Barola taro anim bitema, ngamira sanji sei moleto sanji sei sanji kononto. Kabiri baro nata. O sanji sei konola, at least sanji sababe jemi alang tol be fananga do ko ke anim patiol membe be kolisono kono. Abene ne do ko ke o konole. So baro damalak do ko kono sa fono nyin sanji sei sanji konto kono sanji lulem. Waaw sanji lulo nyin kono fanan kato do man dinketale. Katum janintol binala ya jame sanji mo anim fula ayole kije. Sarora jawra sanji tan saba nyong le kije. O sanji tan sabo anin sanji mo o beta sanji tal lulu anim fula. O sanji tal lulu anim fula tema men keta jada kende ala bundala ala faram fanso anin ka anala futo banko karto mume bela anin men keta barola nyin adamala masakunda sanji lulo kono ne la balanso kay pajala sanji lulo nyine siatati. Loptanol mel lota asiata loptan mu wanti clinical meni alon ko ida da kuta an meni alon ko ibe da kan loptani saba nani lulu meni alon ko be tadaro be ke kambi refurbishment be ke kam arbitrage be wolle kono la tumo men na jawra bi jang ndol be ngalon ko bolomba kono la ikadang bansan damande ni be rawoto ena bandul ya jamme kato ke ay do mandinke woltema sa mbeta momento baro fana nafta nata ay loptano lo meni alon ko ikafuta bari hani bi nsonta ko jada kende abunda abe lamfuri mbake nyim banko kan andu mota fono la ko jada kende abunda e atimmatale asabritale mobe fana nyanda kontan la ko la molbe fa kan e jankaro la min yalon ko imanyan nakafa musobe wulu kan du lalto min yalon ko e akoleate bulu fodol kato tingoto andum e borol fana bu kasodo lu fana fanato nyimbe mu kulet min yalon ko to nyalamu mota kelo la nin tonya be lori monin ki tonya bu ka keleno so Mr. Fatty nyimbe mu ku soto ne di nsonta nyilale biko ndabu ka balang tonya la mu tonya nakari bari ko kato fana keta o fana mu tonya la ti nyanda sunna wala le bari abebu kano sinya kiling le temps bangu mantara kering ning Afrika kono dunia kono la dami yalon ko men ñobe ke kanjang ñobe ko ke wolto bari o man nyanna kala e ndole daliloti ka foko bari abe ke kan Gambia so nyanda wosula wala le man ko na nyantale be kato menna ye tawsi di kendeke e jada kende abunda e ya yirwandi membita boro la karola membita doctoro la karola membita joran la karola ndol dunde alliance o kono le pour que makoro ke kabaro sembentuyandi wo be sotna lol nyaadi le bari yeto nyaale fo ko hani bi jata kende am bundalati sulo bijele bari to nyaale fana mu ko jata bunda kende bunda kabirim baro na da fo kana bila falindiri jamale fana keta je adum dulale ko e satol sorta anin tundol sorta ni banko kan min yalon ko inena man clinique soto inena man jata kende bunda soto pol biya soto le bi men tuta je wala mu tokka kendolti anin jaral jorangolu anin boro soto nyaalu e wallum ko min yalon ko masakunda nyanta ka nyatini wo karola andum e mfana be kata mumbe be kala fo masakunda sa nyatini no be ngaden e nyatini no kasolo nyamenna an banko fana nak fanko danta jami buro sikenole ñina mun na jabi to tan karola can you have another question no more yes you are
good afternoon. My name is Mamute and I am working with Paradise TV.
Paradise TV.
Yeah, so I have two questions.
You will ask one question and then we'll go to the next until the turn is over. We give everybody a chance.
Alright, so let me give the second question a priority.
So men ke wala banko la marli kitabu kuto me yalon ko abe kacha kan ni wato la adu akacha nyi fanana ma kan warta bake e ko ndebe katu jumaare ke ka woto pour kaje ko mo lafta min na woyke folo nsini tan diko tumo men na constitutional review commission nying yela doko bang foka pare ye marli kitabo mi yalon ko ya ngania wala nyanda tala National Assembly pour ayke banko la marli ko kitaboti mi yalon wala mun na third republic te kafo sama somandale a nyanda tala député bungoto bi wularo lota ndiyam ta gambe di mume beye fo nyaaji bota o nyaaji bo nyin kono la doli ake tulumoti dol be ngi awase ala politiko kono la bari mune wono kantum e mo jama be wuri kan membe kerim bi kabri gambe a fansoto kabo ya jamela marle jawo bulula mo jama be diamu kan mo jama opportunity be kumol fo kan o fansoto nyin wala atinna waketa bari o fansoto nyin kono la o kelo kono la sanji jama ntol niyo be na tulaje kadu ndem felenti e kato kelal pour kam fa yen singul katile ngen kawon kati ndata exile naraje ko million tang ani woro 116 million wala dun tan nyin constitution kono la ngaje ko politiko be na kanje ngamira kato men kita mo min yalon ko e nyoto tan nyin kuoto ibe nawo kala politikoti wala en tora fo mamu nyano nyaaji bota adu nyaaji bo mu kayra baleti kadu banko la sulo wala mbulala woto ngaw appeal men ko wato kono pour député bungulo bari ntemang député soto National Assembly albe wolonde bari so sembo man ndem Mai Fatty kunkilu man sembo soto pour National Assembly nyanta banko la nganyo tamandila nyamen o sembo man trambulu parti fula wolle sembo soto National Assembly bake o parti fulolu nyen diamo nyanta tala wolle ya kadu wolle sa keno ayke wolle sa keno atakela ndeta danta diamo lela bari ka kebaro ke ka katoke o parti wolle min yalon ko wolle National Assembly member sol soto so alimuru wol kan ali wol nyini ka fo e Gambia kanu fo di man Gambia kanu na tare Gambia kanu itol me sembo so ka falindiro ke nyin koto itol ya ken tema o sembo so ka dum tema député so so parliamentary parties those are the ones who are entitled to ensure that the constitution is passed or not passed in any form, shape, or one order. But my appeal is that they should all consider the national interest. More base bankola nafa jube ni marle kitab kuto koto. Mbe okilole la, mbe kontine la kawo diamole DB, mbe mo be fana jamar la alsimuru patiol kan patiol min yalon ko wolle sembo sur National Assembly. Kadun dem patiol soto mbe National Assembly kono. Allah barika.
Can you please summarize it in English, please?
What I'm saying is, I have advocated for the will of the people be reflected in the draft constitution. And on the eve of the passage of the proposal to pass the initial draft, I addressed the nation. I addressed the nation on the imperative, the historic imperative, that members of parliament should look at the national interest and forego their political allegiances. Because a lot of blood was shed in order to bring about a third republic. I was among the people whose life was nearly lost in the fight for dictatorship. I indicated an assassination attempt left me with bones and fractured neck, and over 2 years of excruciating pain in hospitals in Senegal and Europe. So I am a veteran of the liberation struggle. I have battle scars to show how I fought for this country, along with other brave Gambians, some of whom are not alive today. So when we see politics taking precedence over national interests in the passage of a new draft constitution, it hurts me, it pains me to a point where I could not bear it, and I shed some tears. And I will continue to shed those tears as long as people who have the authority to make the changes in National Assembly continue to neglect their national obligation. My party does not have any National Assembly member in our parliament today. So it is for parliamentary political parties who are represented in National Assembly to either perform the aspirations of the people into reality or abdicate their responsibilities. And it is for you citizens to ensure that those parties who have the ability and the power either to pass it or to fail it. So it fails, it will be the liability of those who are in the National Assembly, because they have the voice, they have the vote and the power to make it happen or not. So every government should know who are playing politics with this constitution. You all know. And I'm going to say that, of course, the president has made effort. He has opened the doors open, and is very flexible to discussions. I think all other players should be very flexible and open to discuss so that we can have a new constitution. But we cannot have everything. Everybody cannot have everything you want in this constitution. Constitution building is a compromise. You accept some, you leave some. So we must be reasonable to understand that the draft as was presented cannot be the outcome of a new constitution. But finally, I believe that in fact, the National Assembly should not have the authority to decide whether we have a new constitution or not. It should go to the public and let the voters vote on a plebiscite, because it's a referendum that should determine the emergence of a new constitution. But parliamentarians are appropriating that sovereign responsibility which belongs to the people to themselves. We need to change that trajectory. Thank you. Ye mistake oleke. Ntema fo mbe baro la advice ala mbota je because baro buka yamaro muta. Mbe bala je lungo menna. Nga dunia bele kili media bebi jele kel faru fana bi jele wolungo hotel auto kaytandi gambe dimul la munati nam beri zain kam na kumo kono la mafo baro buka yamaro muta na bi je afintindi bari mofo ngole I do not feel challenged, and I do not feel useful in the role ngawale fo woning baro buka yamaro muta manke kilinde de mo intela de mawo fo mo itala la kumoti itala la miral kumo na kumo itala fram fansi won itala a fasari wo nyama bari wo kumo mam bonte da kono mo itala kumo lati bari fula nyango nsa fo fanan mbe na strategic meeting wala baro ne ala alliance modu ha ndele nga fo ko baro la wino wonyande kala bay force no mem man ka xonglo fo kay te dum man ka dingolati men ma man ko moy tuma don salo non siwol forgive nole bari man ka kaw hakatu yela nyinen ka roke say batu ngeja bi roke man ka kaw mol ka fele ko nying mbajala ko ngafa bari ñu mbekkelale bari yalla imam bare fala ni koy be fala wallahi ni borita hani fo ñote soro la nying ani sayale kanyantanye bari yalo nin sana ra be borlalde ite mo man nin kadi nam man nin ka ko ite ya fahamule ni ko te kala o be kala jaw yala bari man nin ka kan ngawole fo ayo hekatu so ngamen fo nga fo man nin ka kan to ndung man nin kol ka diamu nyamen na idioms na expression olu na cultural innuendos and na cultural nuances nga fo wole kono ndela nga diamo nyim fo man nimisa ni sasa diamo nyi kan ko den ko ndela nga fo fanan andu nga man nimisa ndela nga fo bari nga fo dalilo men kamma man ni ka kammoy la ni man ni ka dum be yalon ne men ben nak mo falina ya ka jawyati sako man ni ka dingol wende bala fa baake ka dum dol be ka le foko ka fele ko nying anin saale be kanyan dante nying ani me fala le bari nyinde kala nda be nga wajele hani angelol ka fele over my dead body, but it will never be over your dead body because when death comes you run away be nga kala mutale surwal wal ka fo dina har sama tank tubey waye li du am waye musulo har sa tank tubey do ko har so ali nga ni nafiki ya bula ali nga ni jawja bula so be nga lon ko na kango our language are very rich ba fari ni ko ma fata doron ni tamira ay la patiole ma o ite da men fevo yo ko man dingota ya warandi amon fota da men ya fitno wulini banko kan o manke na politiko ni ngeja bi len ndung adanta woleto anybody else any other question? Yes, thank you.
Yes, my name is Alejandro. I work for the Fatty Network.
Huh.
I have two questions, but
Well, ask one. If there's nobody else, we'll come back to you.
now, from your intake report as former minister, what would you say are the most pressing governance failures of current administration that needs urgent attention?
Well, yes, I agree with you. There are so many challenges. I don't know whether they're failures or non-failures, but I know we have several governance issues that we need to focus on. One, we need to have a very robust economic policy, that deals with the inflation, rising inflation. There's a lot of price increases, we know that. But some of the reasons for those price increases are also that we are not a productivity center. For example, even vegetables. Vegetables that we consume at home, most of it coming from Casamance and Senegal. I mean, that is not forgivable. Who is responsible for the rise in the cost of vegetables? We have the soil, we have the land, but yet we are importing vegetables. So vegetables are not bought in Dallas, they are bought in the CFA. When CFA goes up, the women who go to Senegal to purchase those vegetables are going to increase their prices together with transportation and other things. So food inflation is here. Food inflation is domestically driven, but it is also influenced by external factors, some of which are self-induced. But there's a challenge there because government also ought to promote a very successful and robust horticultural policy. In other words, agricultural food self-sufficiency policy. That is necessary. The other area that we need to focus more on is in the area of corruption. The perception of corruption is great. So many Gambians feel that government is not delivering service in terms of procurement. So this is an area where we need transparent procurement process so that Gambians can feel that every dalasi, every butut that is spent in the performance government delivery is going where it belongs, so that poverty will be fought at the root, and we can deal with the root cause of poverty. We need to really resolve the issue of concerns dealing with procurement. The other issue we need to deal with is the matter of efficiency, general government service delivery. Many Gambians have this experience that government delivery service is not performing to expectations. Whether this is rightly or wrongly, government ought to take this criticism seriously and focus on efficient and effective service delivery so that government will feel that government is functioning. They have a working government. That is an area in which we need to focus on. The other area we have to expedite is the area of reforms, particularly institutional reforms. We inherited a legacy problem. During the dictatorship, all our institutions were politicized, they were destroyed. 22 years of systematic destruction of institutions. Now we need to rebuild. We need to restore the mandate, the true mandate of institutions back to them. Institutional strengthening, building strong institutions that are politically unbiased, that are intended to serve the basic needs of Gambian people is a prerequisite to sustainable development. We need a functioning, a competent, and an efficient civil service, public sector that will deliver to people's expectations. All these are challenges that we need to do. We have a security service that still mimics some of the legacies of the past. But it is not to say nothing is being done. Something is being done, just that people are not in agreement as to the pace of it. Some feel the pace is very slow, others feel much has been achieved. But I believe that government has not been communicating effectively on its successes. So there is the perception that nothing is happening in all of these areas. But with the new Mansakunda that has been initiated, I think the nation is now being thoroughly informed about some of the progress in these areas so that we can we can eliminate some of the misunderstandings. But there are deep challenges, deep-seated development challenges, very serious concerns that we ought to focus on. But that is not the reason enough to say you cannot work with the government, because all governments in the world are facing challenges. So because your government is facing a challenge, becomes a taboo to work with your government. That is not correct. We do not believe in extremist politics. We believe that the Gambia government belongs to the Gambian people, and everybody has a right to contribute towards national development with your ideas and any other form. Even if you are an opposition party leader or a member of the opposition, you still have a responsibility and a stake in Gambia's national development. You should not be celebrating when things go wrong. You should have a source of concern when things go wrong. Because celebrating failures of government is celebrating failure of the people, failure of a country. And that is not citizenship, that is not patriotism, that is extremism. Thank you.
A follow-up question to that. You made
How would you judge government's commitment to corruption, political will? Is it because the public is crying that every allegation is that the case? And I'm going to give my own example. When I was at the Ministry of Interior, and I was relieved of my cabinet responsibility as minister, there is these negative people. They raise all kind of presumptions that I received a bribe from Similex, and it went viral. All my detractors and some opposition parties went around saying that he has received bribes, that's why he was fired. And they believed that they propagated this lie, and they said it everywhere. That is a perception, but in reality, it is false story. Because the National Assembly commissioned an investigation into the Similex saga, and I was not guilty of any corruption. The Gambia government investigated. I was not guilty of receiving any bribes. And I still insist, anybody who thinks that I have anything to do with the Similex saga, bring your evidence, bring it forward, or you close your mouth. So this is how corruption spreads. Allegations. I was accused of receiving bribes, and it's false. So this allegation of corruption can be misinterpreted by various forms. And I'm giving you my own particular example. That a lot of people have spread these sort of rumors. It's something similar to government as well. I still understand your question. What I'm saying is that the perception of corruption can be misinterpreted. And that is why I brought my personal example when I was accused of receiving bribes by Similex, and I still challenge anybody in the Gambia or anywhere else in the world. Please bring the evidence against me that I received bribes and get me prosecuted. Bring the facts. These are the examples I'm giving. So yes, there has been national audit reports, and what's your name again? Ali Jallo. I will say that every audit report should be taken seriously by the government, and I would urge the Gambia government to continue to take those audit reports seriously, and where there has been expressions of corruption, serious corruption and allegations by the relevant government institutions, they should be investigated. That is my position. Thank you. Back up your assertions with evidence. When you say inflation is going up, crime is going up, the latest statistics in terms of inflation regarding the Gambian economy, that is made by not the Gambia government, but our development partners, the World Bank, the IMF, the African Development Bank, is that inflation in the Gambia is in single digits, from double digit to single digit, perhaps the only country with a single digit inflation within the ECOWAS region. So that is a record I cannot quarrel with, because it's not made by Gambia government, but by the World Bank, the IMF, the African Development Bank. They are saying that in fact inflation is going down in the Gambia. That is what the Gambia's development partners are saying. I am not an economist, but I cannot dispute them. So based on that evidence, I will disagree with you that inflation is going up. What I will tell you rather is that perhaps when they talk about these statistics, people may not feel it filters into their pockets. That may be the case. People may feel that the evidence on the ground does not support the figures that are given by these development partners, but based on that evidence. The second part you are talking about is crime is going up. The Gambia government's position is it is the reporting of crime that is going up. But according to their statistics, crime is coming down. How? Because when there is one murder case, it is circulated hundreds of thousands of times in social media, making it look like there were multiple murders on that day. So that is their position. I am not in the position to give statistics because I'm not in government. I'm not the Minister of Interior. What I do know that there are serious concerns about personal safety and security issues. And I believe that the security situation is not very satisfactory. Much has to be done about it. And government needs a more concerted, collaborative, hands-on effort towards it. Thank you.
Okay. So now,
That is your perception, but I didn't say that. I didn't tell you institutions are better now than before. I didn't say that. In fact, it was one of the challenges I mentioned when I was asked by Jallo some of the issues facing this country. So that is your statement, not mine. It is you who said that. I never said that. And everybody listening to me heard what I said about the challenges. Among the challenges include institutional weakness and the need to strengthen them, because over 22 years of acute dictatorship, all of the institutions were politicized and destroyed. And so I indicated that it is now necessary to restore back to the institutions their mandate and to strengthen them, give them their regulatory and their statutory capabilities so they can serve the public as intended, as was designed. So if you say that I say something else, this is what I said. Whatever you're saying is different from what I said. And if you are writing news report, you are going to write what you said. That is what the people will hear, not what I said. So you see, this is how fake news is spread.
what is
Lafta yemen kalamuta. Ko na patio ning president barola patio alaita. Hani ko bari yalla muna wila problem oti. Ne question on nyinin kam bula nga jabi. Okay, but ngala question on jabi. Foy man pare nga jabi. Bari nga jabi silanko. Bari ning ko media wala ko be kuntula nyaato e. Bodo ilafta men fula nalo ja yafo. Woto mbulante men be lori jangela ko mo jabi. Abanta. Sai men bije. Wala mnyinti ko. Na patio ni president barola patio nketa data alliance la. O ma min ko ndenga sembo so ma sakunda nya tamala nyame kadu political party fula la ka nyoma ani ma sakunda la tamandri nyama ke ku kilinti lafta iso kalamuta na party fula kafta nyoma ko dunia kono akake daoda dunia be kono nyamenna ko tuma menna ndol la patio nim party dol kafta nyamenna 2011 ani 2016 ni wolkata alliance nyame man sembe sodo ila patio la tamandri nya kono la nga sembo sodo man tawmulamu na hakilimirol danta damen ka kilinti kawo tamande nyobulu bari amamin ko sonda ko belela so lafta sinen kalamuta ko anin gambe de mumé be surtout men yalon ko e be dalilo nyini kan e be politique nore o tamande la nyingo kono nyamen ko padi fulay ka kilinti woni kam masakunda mara e manke kilinti mantra masakunda kono masakunda place tem bulula ndun napatio manke masakunda patioti nim president barola NPP la kafta ndel be bantale be politiko le tamandika nyobulu mantra masakunda la police tamandika yemen be fo man sembe so do woto manke president la yamar la fanati nin na sita a manke na devoir to pour nga yamar banko kata manya manke ndala do ko ala masakunda mala masakunda lete abota man la nyamen o be o nyamale ita fana memu banko dingoti nteni te be kanyanta president baro ya yamaro lale man sieti fenna be le kanyanta mam masakunda place mara ima mara mantra masakunda kono ima tara kono mu banku dingolati si president baro ya marino ita finance president baro ya marino ni bele kan tawto. Thank you. Coming and we will continue this conversation, but I can assure you that it is very good that you came. We are very happy. We hosted this event because we have not had a press engagement for a very long time, and it is very important that this time we should get back and engage with each other. I will make it abundantly clear. We are members of the alliance of the NPP, and we will continue to work together with them in order to promote the national development agenda of President Barrow, and we will continue to work with him. All those who believe that this is the way to go forward, let us work together. And all those who have a different opinion, it is protected by the Constitution for you to have a different opinion. But just like other people have their own opinion, protected by the Constitution, you have no right to condemn other people's opinion for holding those opinions. So each Gambian has your right to belong to where you want to belong politically, and if where you belong, people are not questioning why you are there, then you have no moral right to question why other people are elsewhere. This is what I want us to respect each other, positive politics and no toxicity. I have made my statements and I take responsibility for my statements. They are my statements and I own them, and I accept the consequences of the statements that I make at all places. I thank you very much for coming. We are going to give you back your fares, and